good.
Right, and I think we're on. So the news has dropped. Phil Parkinson is out of Sunderland AFC. I'm joined by Andrew, who was on the Sunderland Till I Die documentary. Andrew, were you Parky out?
I was probably on the fence, to be fair.
Right.
And I know the results haven't been great and the performances haven't been much better, but I just worry about who we're going to get at this level, as the next manager. I've already seen the list of candidates, and it's not very inspiring from my point of view. And sometimes just think, maybe it's better the devil you know. However, like I've already said, the results weren't there, the performances weren't great. I don't think he ever had a good rapport with the fans to start with, to be fair. And if we were inside the stadiums, I think for weeks now they've been singing for him to go. So, yeah, it's probably the right decision for him to go. Obviously, loads of questions come up once they decide they're going to let the manager go, don't they? And I'm sure you've been on text message to your mates. I've been text messaging my mates already, and the people I sit with at the match and that, And we've got a load of questions. Is it part of the takeover? Is the takeover going to happen? Is McGeady going to come back in? A million questions now are out there for it.
Yeah, I've had to mute my phone because it was buzzing all the group chats and everything. I was just trying to get a couple of videos out as well. Quite surprising to hear that you weren't like you were still on the fence. I think I was probably one of the only people, a Sunderland fan, who was remotely on the fence. Was there never a turning point for you where you thought he's got to go?
Just the results for me. The constant draws, constant conceding goals late. I think the most annoying thing about Phil Parkinson for me was these substitutions. If you look at Friday night, we could have made 5 subs. We made 1 sub, then we made 2 in the last few minutes. And they're not really going to impact a game that we should be winning, really. If we want to go up, if we want to win the league and everything else, if that's the inspiration of Sunderland Football Club, then you should be going to Fleetwood. No disrespect to Fleetwood, but we should be going to the likes of Fleetwood and we should be beating them. If we can beat Ipswich, 2-1 at home, we should be going to the likes of Fleetwood and getting on top of them and winning them games. So that was probably the turning point for me.
Fleetwood was the turning point, yeah.
Not just Fleetwood, I think, like the recent results. Obviously, the number of draws. I think the last game we won was actually Ipswich. It was 2-1. I think we've gone about 3 or 4 games now without a win, to be fair. And that's including the cup competitions, obviously the league trophy games and all that. So I think it was time for a change. Maybe it's part of the takeover that we heard was imminent, and they want to bring the one guy in. So
yeah, I definitely want to mention the takeover as part of this quick video. But I think to me it's the last 3 results in particular. Going 1-0 up against MK Dons, it was the poor game management that lost us that game. We didn't see it out, and we'll let them get back in the game. Doncaster, literally seconds to go. We didn't manage the game. We brought on the wrong substitutions, and it was the same with Fleetwood. For me, as much as I was trying to defend Parkinson, because I'm probably one of the only people on the planet who wants to, you can't defend the last two games. You can't defend in the last 2 games because of what's happened the last 2 games, where it's been late on in the game, and if Parkinson had acted differently, I think we would have walked out with 6 points and not 2 out of the last 2 games, and 9 points and not 2 out of the last 3 games. For me, it was these substitutions. Would you say you've just said you agree with that? There was these substitutions in his game management. Do you want, for me, when I think about it, it looks almost to me as if it's to say maybe this takeover is very close to coming in. Is that what you're thinking as well? Are you thinking this is tomorrow the takeover is going to get announced and then they'll bring their own man in and then we're on another direction?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think you don't sack the manager, then hire someone else if you're about to sell a football club. Yeah. We saw it when Stuart Donald came into the club. We had Chris Coleman. All of a sudden, Chris went, and then a few days later, we had a change of ownership. And now this could be exactly the same as that. It could be a case of the owners. We hear it's going to be Van Sassori, who's already part of the club, and obviously another one coming in, who I kind of pronounced, so don't ask us to. But I think that might be a massive part of it. I've heard rumours tonight that there's been a bit of a fallout within the club. I don't know if there's any truth in that with a couple of players.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah, I've heard that tonight. So I don't know if there's any truth in that. But I tell you what, Sunderland's been missing all season, if you like, is a match winner, and he's training with the under-21s at the moment.
Yeah. I was just about to mention Aidan McGee. I was just about to ask you there on is it good news for him? I guess we can get onto that later. I want to ask you, is there any positives that Phil Parkinson brought? I mean, two stand out for me was his initial man management, and he seemed to sort out the squad morale and get us all pulling in a different direction. And of course, defensively at the start of this season, we were brilliant. Are those two main positives? Does anything else stand out?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's brought Denver Hume on brilliantly, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know, Denver was a guy he's come into the team in the last year or so. And I think since Phil Parkinson's come in, he's really brought Denver on. I think Denver's looking, you know, he's looking excellent going forward for a start, you know. And I think that formation suited him as well, you know, getting up and down the side. So that's a massive part. That's a massive positive for me from Parkinson's reign. You just touched on it there, actually, his defensive record at the start of the season. You know, we looked great in pre-season. We played Hull at the start of the season. You know, we played them off the park. All right, we got knocked out on penalties, but we played them off the park. We should have won that game. You had Will Grigg looking up for it. All of a sudden, you know, we're back to Charlie White up front, no pace up front. All of a sudden, Lee Burge, who didn't concede a goal for 10 games or whatever it was, is out. And this Remy Matthews is in, who, you know, he never keeps a clean sheet. So, you know, positives was Denver Hume for me. Negatives was game management, like you've touched on there, Jack.
Yeah, I think you make a very fair point with Hume. Not something that came to mind for me straight away, but I really see what you mean. I think he has developed a lot, and I do think he really fits the wing back system. And I think Hume now is a really well established left wing back. Obviously, just mentioned Aidan McGee there just briefly. Do you think this could be a turning point in his career? Is he going to come back in?
You hope so, don't you? You look, it's past times we've had players who have been frozen out by managers. You just have to look at Phil Bardsley, don't you, and Gus Poyet. Gus Poyet bringing him back in, and he's a totally different player when Di Canio didn't fancy him, and obviously they had the public fallout and everything else. So there's definitely a route there back from him, in my opinion. His contract with Sunderland Football Club. We pay his wages week in, week out, so why not play him? He's a match winner. You know, just...
Yeah, I think he's what I like to finish, but I was just about to say I think he's what we lack in games when, especially towards the end of games, when we're looking for that quick goal, that turn of pace, that cross that can win you a game. Typically at the end of games when teams figure us out tactically, I think Aidan McGee, I think if he'd been part of the squad this season, I can name a few games. Charlton springs to mind where if he was playing, I think we could have came away with 3 points instead of 1 or 0.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
Yeah. Finally, one last question. Pretty obvious one. There's been a number of names on the shortlist. I've just heard a rumour there from an inside source that apparently John O'Shea's been shortlisted. Kevin Phillips seems to be a name that keeps popping up. I've made it clear on my opinion on Kevin Phillips as manager. I would never give him the job. Nigel Pearson, of course, is a name. Paul Cook, the Cowley brothers. If you had to give your top 3 candidates in order, who would it be?
I think you got to remember where we are here. We're a League One football club. You know, and people talk about the likes of Big Sam and, you know, Roy Keane and everything else. I've seen the list. I've seen the ones you're talking about. The Cowleys, don't fancy them. Don't fancy Paul Cook. But at the end of the day, we're a League One football club, so that's probably what you're looking at. I'd love to see Pearson come in. But last season he was a Premier League manager. Why would he want to come to a League One club?
He's going to want a high salary, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I cannot see us giving him that. But yeah, that would be my number 1 pick, Pearson with Phillips. Probably with a lot of the fans on that one. John O'Shea, I don't fancy John taking it on. If I'm being honest, you look beyond Pearson and that slim pickings in it.
Yeah, we're not stacked with options. Going to leave it there. Tune in for the interview that me and Andy are just about to do about his time on Netflix and his life as a Sunderland fan. Let me know your thoughts on Phil Parkinson too, and thanks for watching.